Beautiful. So I've averted disaster at work um, once this week, and numerous times throughout my 3-year history here. I've diverted disaster, eluded disaster, hid from disaster, speedily fixed the issue. I remember the first big one was thinking that somebody had given me a check that they hadn't given me, and the circumstances were the check was in an envelope with another check, but somebody had told me earlier that they gave me a check, didn't inform me that it was in the same envelope, and I proceeded to think that I misplaced it, and it was like zero to panic, and zero to panic, and it lasted for hours. It really went on and on for a while, and I was very stressed out, agitated, just this feeling of doom, and this week something happened where I wrote the wrong number. I wrote the wrong number on a check, and I thought a check had been misplaced. And in the process of trying to figure that out, I was very stressed out and very angry and screaming and shouting, and couldn't believe it could happen. So close together of another very similar incident. The incident that happened 2 weeks ago, I don't even really want to talk about on camera. I mean, I don't really want to talk about it. Or maybe I did already. Maybe I already. I don't know. But I know it's hard now. Maybe it's hard now because I thought everything was going fine. And I get a call from the accountant, and she says that, did you get the email? You're supposed to be here by 1. Not only did I not see the email, I saw another email from her that said, who should get late fees? And I responded to that, and didn't see the other email. And I I feel like it's an interesting predicament. I wish it were more apparent to me as to what the options could be, like what the next step would be. I think there's a lot of frustration there, and I think there's kind of a lot of anguish in not knowing the next step. And I'm sure I will definitely work on that here. But it's a weird kind of situation. Early on when I first started, within a year, I'm sure that there was something where I was panicked about, and I would think, well, if the job ends now or they call me in now, I was called down to the office. I have this memory that I was called down to the office. Oh, that's right. I think I was called down to the office by one of my first bosses at the company, and I thought, oh, why would she call me down to the office or something like that? And she just wanted to talk about. It ended up she just wanted to talk about the move out process or paperwork in general. But I remember driving down to the office thinking, well, if it ends here, then how would I phrase it? I'd say, well, I would say primarily, the wild times are on. I'm gonna be in the hospital, losing my mind. I'm gonna be institutionalized, and I'll never be able to forgive myself, and I'll be in an institution every day, and there's no fucking way I'm going back to retail, and I can't do it. And I think this way, and I as I get older and as I mature, oh my God, life, I tell you, life. I realize the awkwardness in this. Believe me, I do. So it's just kind of awkward. It's like I think maybe it's awkward in a capitalist society. Like you're supposed to always know exactly what you're doing, and because you don't always know exactly what you're doing, you reveal things about yourself that other people probably are better at or really are very talented at. The only thing I can think of is if I lost this job, it's like I've had stepping stones, and I've been very fortunate in life. And the thing is, I feel like if I lost this job, it would be totally, it would be tragic. I would be not only jobless, I'd be homeless, and I can't. It's hard to, without money. I don't get paid enough. I get paid enough to get by, and being diabetic isn't free. So, without money, it's very difficult. If you have a couple $100,000, it's another story. You go, oh well, then we would, have to live like hermits for a long time before we establish something else. And that would be one way of looking at it, a very positive way. But, and I know they say you're supposed to have 3 months of savings built up, and yeah, well, your build-up of savings goes to your diabetic supplies when you're diabetic. That's how that works. But as I get older, I realize I say things like this to myself, and I talk about this, and I go, wow, you sound so silly. You sound so ridiculous. It's almost like there's a big brother in my head, and it was like that when I was on disability. It was like I would be freaked out, and I would have that kind of tense feeling in my back of anxiety, and I'd be like, what am I going to do? And I would feel very tired, and there was just something that whispered to me, it's all going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. And everything was fine. Like, in a way that I've told people that it just doesn't seem like it should have worked out that well, or it doesn't work out that well for a lot of people, and it's like, why is that? I'm sure there are a variety of factors, but things generally work out. Oh, that's true for me, and that's true for actually a lot of people I think of, and I've stopped and given myself pause, and I go, yeah, things do work out for a lot of people. They just kind of just tend to work out. Like my friend Lawrence. I mean, within Lawrence's capabilities and understanding about himself and life, things generally tend to work out for him. Like he doesn't find himself sleeping on the sidewalk starving. I mean, he gets very close to that, but he doesn't get there. Anyway, and he had a wonderful year and a half that he very much deserved not working. So I feel silly saying, there's that part about being in the mental institution or going, being held on a 5150. If I were to lose this job, that seems very likely. I think I would fucking be out of it for a while, but I would rather not be. I would rather have a plan. I would rather be like, well, then we'll jump to this arena. It's just that, and I'm glad it feels silly. I mean, it's better than it feeling drastic and dangerously fatal. I'm glad it feels silly. I'm glad it feels like, well, everything's going to work out again. Something just happened right now. I thought, oh, everything's fine. I woke up this morning, and so that's another thing I wanted to address. I woke up this morning, and I had stayed up too late last night, and I don't know. It just comes natural to me. I just like, I just do it, and I honestly remember. God, I almost feel like I can hear the other side, But I will say this about humanity: if you're not doing what you're passionate about in life, and you're not living that dream, and you feel that you're caught in a job that you hate and bills that you don't want to have, and it's all because you're stuck in a situation based on the need of medical insurance or something like that. I feel for people. I'm a bleeding heart liberal. I feel. I mean, life is too precious and it's too important, and it's too good to tell somebody that they need to be in a fucking cubicle, handling the public, getting yelled at, getting cursed at, motherfucking son of a bitch, you didn't do this for me, and that's how their life should be. You should be feeding the system. That's it. You know, fuck that. Fuck that. That's just so sad, so very sad. Um, but I feel like I just live the way I know how to live. When I was doing those jobs that I didn't like, oftentimes I would be able to get by. I'm gonna